Yes, sure. I'm good. Thank you. He was telling me that.
Good morning. Welcome to our forum this Sunday morning. Sound is always fun. Sound and lights. Thanks for being here. I am honored to do the introduction for our next speaker in our series that we're calling God is Making All Things New. And so we're going to be hearing a series of renewal stories. Donna's going to talk to us today about songwriting as a means of moving forward. You may know that Donna is from Alabama. She grew up in Florence. She is the child of a priest. She says she thinks it'd be a whole lot cooler if she grew up in Muscle Shoals. But alas, it's Florence.
It's Florence.
Florence does not have the swampers like Muscle Shoals. But she is a cradle Episcopalian. She's a member of our choir. If she looks familiar, that's why. And she says she's a mostly rehabilitated lawyer and a singer-songwriter who just released her second album in November. She's going to tell you more about her songwriting journey when she talks to us about the role that creativity has played in her journey with cancer. There are a couple of handouts. If you don't have one, that's okay. Those are for you. They're going to be lyrics projected on the screen. So if you want to take the lyrics home, you can have one of those sheets. But you don't have to take those. So just to let you know, that's what the paper's on the table all about. And I'll now turn it over to my friend Donna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. I was so excited when Catherine approached me about this, and I'm going to just start out with a song, and we'll go from there. The song is called It's Just Rain. Storm front on the interstate, I'm headed the wrong way. It's been a long day and that sky is so threatening. Never faced a more anxious heart. Clouds so dark, everything in me is screaming, turn around. But I know it's just rain, and every storm runs out of water. water. Trouble looks dark from a distance, everything in you resists it. Such a change from your sunny skies, but it's just a summer storm. You've been here before, you know you're strong enough to get through this, 'cause you know that it's just rain, and every storm runs out of water, runs out of water. It's just rain, and every storm runs out of water, runs out of water. I've fought demons before, heard the wind howling at my door. I know I'm wild enough to plant my feet and shake my fist and stand in the middle of the tempest and cry out to heaven. To plant my feet and shake my fist and stand in the middle of the tempest and cry out to heaven. 'Cause one way or another the sky will clear, and I will not be defined by fear. No, 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 'cause it's just rain, and every storm runs out of water, runs out of water. It's just rain, and every storm runs out of water, runs out of water. Oh, oh, oh. Thank you. So I'm here to talk today about songwriting, but I think really I'm here to talk about alchemy. Do you know this word, alchemy? Alchemy was a precursor to modern day chemistry. And alchemists were always looking for ways to transform things, usually from lead into gold, and spoiler alert, they never figured out how to do that. But I am going to talk about alchemy today, how to turn something heavy into something a little golden. So music has been my spiritual jet fuel since I was like 12. I started playing guitar when I was 13 and immediately wrote my own song. It never occurred to me not to write my own songs, and I don't know why that is, but I wrote a song about my big brother going off to college, and it was a sweet little song. And from that point forward, I had always used music to kind of process those big feelings. I spent a lot of years in the early 2000s traveling to Nashville, learning the craft there, letting my microphone fall off, performing up there, had a Bluebird early show, which was a big deal. So, you know, I kind of did that, but I never could quite get the success. And at some point, I just decided, this is not working for me. And I was so frustrated that I just hung it all up. And so I had released an EP, which is a fancy word for a short album, in 2016. It's called Parking Lot Penny, and I played in support of that, and it's a good album. But once I finished that, I just walked away. Some of that was because of the stage of life I was in. I had little kids. It was a lot to manage. But I also found that my life became a little silent. It was like a big concrete room. It was really safe, but it wasn't really comfy, you know? And what I didn't realize at the time was that there was a spiritual death going on at that same time. When I abandoned those gifts that had been given to me, I lost a lot more than just playing some songs. So in the summer of 2023, after an amicable but still painful divorce, you know, I had a lot going on, I made a new friend who had listened to my album, and he said, "Why are you not performing anymore?" I said, "Nope, I'm done. I'm not songwriter Donna anymore. I'm out of that." And he said, "Oh, once a musician, always a musician. You may take a break, but you'll come back to it." And I kept asking him, what is the point? What's the point of trying to make music? When I tried it, I didn't get anywhere. And now I'm old, and we know old people don't ever get anywhere in music, right? So, it was that pernicious idea of success that kept being kind of a roadblock. So we started talking about the meaning of life and all good things, and he said, well, think about when you're a child. You don't initially go to music because you want to make money. You're attracted to it because it's cool. It's cool to make music. And I started thinking about that, and he said he would often go to music to say, what will music tell me tonight? What will it teach me? And he also said that he found that giving time to that gift of music helped him be the highest and best version of himself. And I was like, well, that's different. And we're not talking about just transactional success. You think music can actually help me become the Donna I was meant to be? I never thought about that. And I liked the idea of remembering little bitty Donna who would go over to the piano and just hit notes and think that was pretty cool. So the more I thought about it, I don't know, this idea of childlike play and childlike wonder started to weave into my head. And at some point, a few weeks later, I pulled out my dusty guitar. The guitar case, I guess, was dusty, not the guitar. And I sang through my old songs, and I liked them. And I had that feeling inside like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. And then, a couple of lines would come to me, and I'd write them down or take out my phone and put them in my notes app, or I'd get a melody that would stick in my head. And I'd go pull out my guitar and play some. And I think of those as little steps of invitation, of being open to the creative force, which I will tell you, I don't know if any songwriter fully understands it, because you really do feel like stuff is downloaded from somewhere else into your brain most of the time. But with those little feeble steps of just saying, okay, I'm open, I started writing song after song after song. And they were good. And I was really excited. And I was like, wow, this is fun. That's the other thing I had lost, is how fun it is to write a song. It's like working a big puzzle, You've got something that works here but not here. Oh, well, what if I shift those? And then that gets some magic. So after writing several of these songs, I decided I wanted to record another album, and I started really picking up steam on that in August of 2023. But something else was picking up steam at that same time, and I didn't know it. And I had a lump in my right breast, and on September 11th, 2023, I got the word that I had invasive ductal carcinoma, likely stage 2. And so in dealing with that, I was like, hold up. I can't record an album. I can't do anything. I got cancer. Everything's full stop, right? But after a day or two, and maybe it might have been more like a couple of hours, it became clear to me that music. Will it help if I turn this a little bit? Do you think, with the feedback? Okay. I realized that in this battle, music was going to be even more important to me. And for a couple of reasons. One was I wanted to have some of my work recorded. Music's a funny thing. If you paint a painting, it's there. If you write a song, it's not anywhere until I'm performing it, right? So I wanted to record that. But I also wanted to give space to that creative part of me through whatever I was about to face, and I had no idea what I was about to face. So the timeline for the album might change a little bit, but I still wanted to do it. And I can tell you that on the 2 darkest days that I faced during that cancer journey, and they're kind of like bookends, I was able to turn to music and write a song out of it. The song I just played, It's Just Rain, was written over Labor Day weekend. Of course, I'm waiting on a diagnosis over a long weekend because, that's the way I like to do things, because you have to build in some extra time. But I was waiting for that, and actually when I was lying down on the ultrasound table, most of those lyrics just came into my mind. And it's based on back when I used to commute from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham as a law clerk, years and years ago. And so I'd be driving home to Tuscaloosa around 5:15, 5:30, and it was one of those patterns in the summer where one of those giant, ominous thunderstorms would roll in every day like clockwork. And you're sitting there in sunny Birmingham, and you're driving into what looks like just apocalyptic clouds. And it was like everything in my body was like, don't do this, pull off, don't, but if you want to get home, right, you got to keep on driving. And so what I learned over the course of a couple of days is if you just keep driving, those things are never as bad once you're in them. They always look worse from a distance. And once you're in them, it's just rain. And you can do that. You've done rain before. So I was like, this feels like that. When I'm sitting here on this ultrasound table, this feels like I'm driving into the scariest storm possible, and I don't want to do it. Can I turn around? Can I not do this? But I can't. So if you want to get home, you got to keep going. So the second, and I will say, so the interesting thing to me about that was I was terribly scared that day, that weekend. But by turning it into writing this song, I also became kind of excited about the song. So it became a fun process of, ooh, what could I do with that chorus? And it gave my mind something to really turn off the fear and turn on a little bit of joy, just a little bit. The second song that I'm going to play today is called I Am Afraid. And I think it's the flip side to the bravado of the first song. The first song is, I can do this, we can get anywhere with this. And, I had been blogging through my cancer journey. And a lot of people who would come up and say, oh, you're so brave, you got such a great attitude. And I was like, okay, maybe so. But then on a day in February, when I got some kind of iffy lab results that looked like I might have to undergo another 18-week round of chemo, and I just felt like, I can't do that. I just can't. I reached out to a friend of mine who's a brain cancer survivor, and she said, do this for me. Do something today that makes you feel completely alive, something that reminds you of who you are. And I was like, okay, I will try. And I pulled out my guitar and really approached this with a sense of play. I wanted to do chords that I hadn't used before and kind of a structure that I hadn't used before. And so on that day, I was able to write this song. I lost my courage somewhere along the way. Or maybe it was always fake. Hello, worries, how you been? Are you here to stay? We all walk around with insulation, build up walls and roofs to feel unshakable. When those cracks start appearing, turns out we get shaken. And I was raised on be not afraid. And I found how to help along the way. So I hope you can forgive my sulky coward spirit, because today I am monsters under my bed, or snakes or clowns, or even bad noises on the microphone. Snakes or clowns or even death. It's this darkness inside of me that won't let me breathe. And I was raised on be not afraid, and I found how and helped along the way. So I hope you can forgive this sulky coward spirit, because today I am afraid. Today I am afraid. Okay, like that? Okay, that'll work. So it struck me that on those 2 darkest days of my journey, I had used this creativity to create something that brought me joy. And to me, that's what I'm talking about when I say alchemy. That somewhere in that muck of both of those difficult days, I was able to create something new. And it was something that brought me joy in the process, and also it's something that I've been able to perform for people, and they've come and said those songs meant something to them too. So I'm trying to get out of the business of giving unsolicited advice generally, but maybe you're facing a difficult time in your life. We all will, repeatedly. And if you're in that place, one thing you might tap into is think about something you can do to honor and foster your inner creative. And if you're one of those people who's like, I'm not creative, well, think about little bitty you. What did little bitty Catherine like to do? Or little bitty Leslie? What did you like to do as a child? Is there a way you can try and channel and express those things to work that internal muck out into something that is expressed outside of you? And I'd love for you all to take a few minutes at your tables. I'm not going to make you write a song, don't worry. But introduce yourselves if you don't know who you are. And maybe talk about what sort of creative things you like to do now, or have done in the past, or something you'd like to learn. Because to me, one of the greatest lessons of the past 2 years has been the need for success will kill childlike wonder. So forget whether you're good at it. Forget if you're good enough. And just do what's fun. Approach it from a sense of play. So if y'all would like take a few minutes just to talk to each other and see how do you see your own creative spirit that you can bring into the world? And then I'll come back and say a little bit more. So talk amongst yourselves. Hey, Bill.
I hate screwing up your sound. That made me so mad. That was my fault. I'll always adjust it.
Huh? I said good because I was just on a fast track to get in here.
I know, it's so good. Can you log in?
Service, that's my creative job.
It's going to be lower. Somebody had those. I didn't check the sound on the speakers. If they're running like that, those wireless. It's going to adjustment.
So it's just the direction that we're facing?
No, these speakers are just too high. So when you run a wireless mic that close to them, if they're that high,
Your little feedback.
up a little bit.
All the challenges I think I have there in my life and I never had cancer.
Have y'all figured out some creative gifts you have? Does anyone want to share anything that came up during your discussion? I know you're still discussing. So what are some ideas that came out? Anyone want to share? You don't have to, but you can if we want to open it up to the whole group. I'll tell you some things I've observed. So there's obviously easy stuff. Like I started taking a watercolor class. I've never been someone who was a visual artist at all. And I decided, well, if I like this idea of don't worry about success for music, then I should apply that to something that is a little, more out of my comfort zone. And those classes have been amazing for me. Any other thoughts that people have had experiences like that or things you want to try?
Something that came up in our group was kind of seeing this duality between transactional success and your creativity. And Leslie and I talked about how engaging in creativity can actually be something that supports the success that you feel or experience even in your professional life. That it doesn't have to be something that's a separate kind of entity where music's here or creativity's here and your job is here. Like they can be intertwined and have kind of recursive elements to them.
Thank you. Who else? You'll share? Mary Yancey's going to share.
No, hey, I went to folk school at Camp McDowell last year in February, and my dad played guitar, and I had never learned, and I had always said I wanted to, and at folk school, you go for a weekend. They have a from scratch every winter, and you go and learn something new. And it's lots of music. It's banjo, mandolin, guitar, but you can also do quilt making or pottery or foraging in the woods for mushrooms. They all have all these interesting offerings. But so I got into the guitar group, and it just so happened that Stan was in the guitar group too. So we both were in our little group of 6, and I had never picked it up before, and 3 days later we have this concert, and the 6 of us played Country Roads by John Denver and sang along to everybody, and it was so much fun. So yes. I've continued to do that this year, and it has become a real. I try to practice for 20 minutes every day, and it's become a time where I can put away everything else, and you can't think about anything else except for what you're doing. And so I highly recommend doing it. And if you need a jump start, you can go to folk school at Camp McDowell.
That was a great plug for Camp
Great
McDowell.
plug, Mary.
Stan?
I would say just to add to it, one of the things that has become a big part of it is the community part of it. So as you get older, it's easy to get isolated. And doing this, has forced me to meet people and perform with people. And we play in the band at Curcio now.
Y'all are part of the cool club. You're the
we
musicians.
play kind of softly so that we're not too.
You're right.
But just the community part of it has been a big part of the creativity side of it.
Thank you. So, go ahead. Yeah.
Several years ago, my husband and I were traveling, and we were in Europe and went in an artisan shop, and I saw this journal that had been covered and was done with all this. It was just amazing. I was So I thought, I've got to have one of those. And then I looked at the price and I thought, nah, maybe I don't need one of those. And so at any rate, I came home and I thought, I think I can do this. And so I took a blank, dull, Amazon cheap journal and began to figure out how to cover it and to sew on it and to write on it. And Mary B. asked me if I would be willing to, I showed her one, and she said, could you make more for a retreat? And I didn't realize I was going to be in the market for making 30 more, but it, it was fabulous. And what has happened in all of this, and I also do something called Swedish weaving, but what I have found is I found myself, without realizing it, that as I was making each of these journals, I was praying for whomever might want to write in it. And it's the same way with my sewing. So it's become very special to me to find creativity.
Thank you.
I just want to say they're gorgeous.
They are gorgeous. I
I
have one.
was going to say the same thing.
I have one.
I'd be happy to make one.
We got to choose one in her book study group, so. And I was just going to say too, Donna, that I am in a creative writing group that I've been in for over 2 years, and it's really been very amazing, the relationships that we form, because when you write, it can be very personal, so we pretty much know a lot about each other now, and we just love being together and writing. And we did a zine, and we had a reading, we did a book signing at Thank You Books. It was a lot of fun, so.
All right, jumpers.
So Betty, you're talking about how your creativity becomes part of like a gift for somebody else, and I wanted to draw attention to something in your song. I don't know if you can, Sheila, put the lyrics up really quickly. I want to know if I heard this correctly. So in your bridge, the first two lines, when you're talking about snakes and monsters, you're doing something minor pentatonic-esque.
Yeah.
But when you then talk about darkness, you switch to a major chord. Is that
Yeah.
right?
I think that's right. I do all that very intuitively. So then other people tell me what I did.
Okay. So sometimes, like in the Servant song, when they say agony, people typically play that B minor sadness chord. And so when you played darkness and you had a happy chord, what it did for me was it gave me permission to accept the darkness that I feel within, in a way. And so just the kind of idea how your creativity offers a gift more than just the song, but emotional. And so I thought that was cool, and I thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And picking up on the prayer aspect, you know, the line in there in the B section is, so I hope you can forgive this sulky coward spirit. That was absolutely prayer. That part, it just, the rest of the song maybe or maybe not, but that part absolutely was prayer. So, you know, I love hearing all these ideas you have, and I love the idea about transactional success doesn't have to be separated. I actually have a friend who's a professor of engineering entrepreneurship at the University of Alabama, and they're a bunch of engineers who get together and work on stand-up comedy because they found that opens the creative mind to come up with new ideas. So you can, all of this, the more you, because let's face it, we spend a lot of our lives getting our souls sucked into this, and this is a way to put our soul out there. So some other ideas I just wanted to share. I've got a friend who transcribed the lyrics of our hymnal, and even maybe just your favorite hymns, on beautiful paper with beautiful penmanship. That's creativity. And talk about learning, you know, that we kind of sing through, but maybe don't pay attention to the lyrics of our hymns all the time. That's a great way to do that. I have another friend who was a full-time lawyer, and she went to culinary school and became kind of part-time lawyer, part-time pastry chef. So there's a way to blend these things and find your way forward. And the last thing I wanted to say is, while I do think, I mean, to me, looking back on the last 2 years, I'm really not an everything happens for a reason kind of a girl, but it was so lovely that this relationship brought music back into my life right at the time I was facing this journey. And I do think that you know, who knows, but I think that creativity and having this way to express all these dark feelings has a tremendous effect on our wellness and just how we feel. But I also found that it helped me with my faith. Back when I was in kind of my musical blackout period, I couldn't even listen to music, because if I did, that little voice inside my head would start having ideas. So it was like shut down. And when you shut down something like that, you shut down the good and the bad. Life is on mute. So I just had this idea of, okay, why do I have this gift? Why do I sing? This seems like a cruel joke. I can sing, but it doesn't do me any good. It's like, okay, well, at least I can just offer it up to people. And so we had transferred membership to another church for logistical reasons, sort of, but I got in touch through Jeff McCormick with John and said, I'd like to come sing in the choir, because there's something about St. Stephen's I knew, and that's they make beautiful music, right? And if I wanted to sing with a choir, this was where I wanted to sing. And so he put me in, and we got back in touch, and those were the days we were singing in masks, we were practicing on the porch, we were singing at remote services. But just that one little step let me get back into this world that from that I've gotten fun and fellowship and support and things that I never would have imagined, because I just took the step of going, okay, fine, I got this, what am I supposed to do with it? Okay, how can I offer it up in some little small way? So not only does it help with life being better, but I think it opened the door to faith ultimately. So all that is alchemy, right? And it's alchemy that you do your very own self with the gift of a loving Creator. And as a postscript, my health is good now. I'm officially in survivor mode. And so I just continue to write and perform periodically as a singer-songwriter, and I'm glad to have gotten the chance to talk to y'all today. Thank you. Thursday night at Elysian Gardens in Avondale, which is a really cute little place. Probably 7 to 8, I'll be doing an original set, and then they have a jam afterwards that's amazing, jazz jam, and I'll sing some covers with them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so.
It's winterized.
It's winterized.
It's winterized. It's totally, yeah.
So thank you to Donna. Let's pray as we go out. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, who gives us beautiful gifts even when we haven't unfurled them, we give you thanks for what you give to us, what you have opened our eyes to see, open our hearts to share, open our minds to think, and open our lips to shout praise to you. We pray for the gift of creativity to spring anew in all of us and carry us out into the world, Lord, always giving you thanks. We say all of this with the help of your Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Thank you. Go do church. I got to do church.